Hadīth 1. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to practice i'tikaf in the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. Hadīth 2. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to practice i'tikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan till he died, and then his wives used to practice i'tikaf after him. Hadīth 3. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to practice i'tikaf in the middle 10 days of Ramadan, and once he stayed in i'tikaf till the night of the 21st, and it was the night in the morning of which he used to come out of his i'tikaf. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever was in i'tikaf with me should stay in i'tikaf for the last 10 days, for I was informed of the date, of the night, of Qadr, but I have been caused to forget it. In the dream, I saw myself prostrating in mud and water in the morning of that night. So, look for it in the last 10 nights and in the odd ones of them." It rained that night and the roof of the mosque dribbled as it was made of leaf stalks of date palms. I saw with my own eyes the mark of mud and water on the forehead of the Prophet, that is, in the morning of the 21st. Hadīth 4. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to bend his head out to me while he was in i'tikaf in the mosque during my monthly periods, and I would comb and oil his hair. Hadīth 5. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to let his head in the house while he was in the mosque, and I would comb and oil his hair. When in i'tikaf, he used not to enter the house except for a need. Hadīth 6. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to embrace me during my menses. He also used to put his head out of the mosque while he was in i'tikaf, and I would wash it during my menses. Hadīth 7. Narrated Ibn Umar asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, I vowed in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance to stay in i'tikaf for one night in al-Masjid al-Haram. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, fulfill your vow. Hadīth 8. Narrated Aisha said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to practice i'tikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan, and I used to pitch a tent for him, and after offering the morning prayer, he used to enter the tent. Hafsa asked the permission of Aisha to pitch a tent for her, and she allowed her and she pitched her tent. When Zainab bint Jahash saw it, she pitched another tent. In the morning, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, noticed the tents. He said, "What is this?" He was told of the whole situation. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Do you think that they intended to do righteousness by doing this?" He therefore abandoned the i'tikaf in that month, and practiced i'tikaf for 10 days in the month of Shawwal. Hadīth 9. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to practice i'tikaf, and when he reached the place where he intended to perform i'tikaf, he saw some tents, the tents of Aisha, Hafsa and Zainab. So, he said, "Do you consider that they intended to do righteousness by doing this?" And then he went away and did not perform i'tikaf in Ramadan, but performed it in the month of Shawwal for 10 days. Hadīth 10. Narrated Ali bin al-Husayn, Ṣaḥīḥ, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, told me that she went to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to visit him in the mosque while he was in i'tikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan. She had a talk with him for a while, then she got up in order to return home. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, accompanied her. When they reached the gate of the mosque, opposite the door of Salama, 2 Ansari men were passing by and they greeted Allah's Apostle. He told them, "Do not run away," and said, "She is my wife, Ṣaḥīḥ bint Huyay." Both of them said, "Subhanallah, how dare we think of any evil, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him." And they felt it. The Prophet said, to them, Satan reaches everywhere in the human body as blood reaches in it, everywhere in one's body. I was afraid lest Satan might insert an evil thought in your minds. Hadith 11. Narrated Abu Salamah bin Abdurrahman, I asked Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, did you hear Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, talking about the night of Qadr? He replied in the affirmative and said, once we were in i'tikaf with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the middle 10 days of Ramadan, and we came out of it in the morning of the 20th, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, delivered a sermon on the 20th of Ramadan, and said, I was informed of the date of the night of Qadr in my dream, but had forgotten it. So, look for it in the odd nights of the last 10 nights of the month of Ramadan. I saw myself prostrating in mud and water on that night, as a sign of the night of Qadr. So, whoever had been in i'tikaf with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, should return for it. The people returned to the mosque for i'tikaf. There was no trace of clouds in the sky. But all of a sudden, a cloud came and it rained. Then the prayer was established, they stood for the prayer, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, prostrated in mud and water, and I saw mud over the forehead and the nose of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 12. Narrated Aisha, one of the wives of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, practiced i'tikaf with him while she had bleeding in between her periods, and she would see red, blood, or yellowish traces, and sometimes we put a tray beneath her when she offered the prayer. Hadith 13. Narrated Ali bin al-Husayn, from Ṣaḥīḥ the Prophet's wife, the wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, were with him in the mosque, while he was in i'tikaf, and then they departed and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Ṣaḥīḥ bint Huyay, don't hurry up, for I shall accompany you, and her dwelling was in the house of Usama. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went out, and in the meantime, 2 Ansari men met him and they looked at the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and passed by. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to them, come here. She is my wife, Ṣaḥīḥ bint Huyay. They replied, Subhanallah, how dare we think of evil, O Allah's Apostle. We never expect anything bad from you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, Satan circulates in the human being as blood circulates in the body, and I was afraid lest Satan might insert an evil thought in your minds. Hadith 14. Narrated Ali bin al-Husayn from Ṣaḥīḥ, Ṣaḥīḥ went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while he was in i'tikaf. When she returned, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, accompanied her walking. An Ansari man saw him. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, noticed him, he called him and said, come here. She is Ṣaḥīḥ. Sufyan, a sub-narrator, perhaps said that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had said, this is Ṣaḥīḥ. And Satan circulates in the body of Adam's offspring as his blood circulates in it. A sub-narrator asked Sufyan, did Ṣaḥīḥ visit him at night? He said, of course, at night. Hadith 15. Narrated Abu Sa'id, we practiced i'tikaf with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the middle 10 days of Ramadan. In the morning of the 20th of Ramadan, we shifted our baggage, but Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came to us and said, whoever was in i'tikaf should return to his place of i'tikaf, for I saw, that is, was informed about the date of this night of Qadr, and saw myself prostrating in mud and water. When I returned to my place, the sky was overcast with clouds and it rained. By him who sent Muhammad with the truth, the sky was covered with clouds from the end of that day, and the mosque which was roofed with leaf stalks of date palm trees, leaked with rain, and I saw the trace of mud and water over the nose of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and its tip. Hadith 16. Narrated Amrah bint Abdurrahman from Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to practice i'tikaf every year in the month of Ramadan. And after offering the morning prayer, he used to enter the place of his i'tikaf. Aisha asked his permission to let her practice i'tikaf and he allowed her, and so she pitched a tent in the mosque. When Hafsa heard of that, she also pitched a tent for herself, and when Zainab heard of that, she too pitched another tent. When, in the morning, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, had finished the morning prayer, he saw 4 tents and asked, "What is this?" He was informed about it. He then said, "What made them do this? Is it righteousness? Remove the tents, for I do not want to see them." So, the tents were removed. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not perform i'tikaf that year in the month of Ramadan, but did it in the last 10 days of Shawwal. Hadith 17. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar bin al-Khattab said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I vowed in the pre-Islamic period to perform i'tikaf in al-Masjid al-Haram for one night." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Fulfill your vow." So, he performed i'tikaf for one night. Hadith 18. Narrated Ibn Umar, that Umar had vowed in the pre-Islamic period to perform i'tikaf in al-Masjid al-Haram. A sub-narrator thinks that Umar vowed to perform i'tikaf for one night. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Umar, "Fulfill your vow." Hadith 19. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to perform i'tikaf every year in the month of Ramadan for 10 days, and when it was the year of his death, he stayed in i'tikaf for 20 days. Hadith 20. Narrated Amrah bint Abdur Rahman from Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned that he would practice i'tikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan. Aisha asked his permission to perform i'tikaf and he permitted her. Hafsa asked Aisha to take his permission for her, and she did so. When Zainab bint Jahash saw that, she ordered a tent to be pitched for her and it was pitched for her. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to proceed to his tent after the prayer. So, he saw the tents and asked, "What is this?" He was told that those were the tents of Aisha, Hafsa, and Zainab. Allah's Apostle said, "Is it righteousness which they intended by doing so? I am not going to perform i'tikaf." So he returned home. When the fasting month was over, he performed i'tikaf for 10 days in the month of Shawwal. Hadith 21. Narrated Urwa, Aisha, during her menses, used to comb and oil the hair of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while he used to be in i'tikaf in the mosque. He would stretch out his head towards her while she was in her chamber.